Hi everyone, and welcome back to today's video and our channel. Now, as we all know, Nigeria's grid is very unpredictable and there's no reason to remain in the dark anymore. So in today's video, we'll be exploring the top alternative power supply solutions out there, and I will be breaking down their current prices so that you can plan your next energy upgrade, because I also need one as well. Now, with rolling blackouts and rising electricity costs, having a reliable backup or primary off-grid system isn't a luxury anymore, it is a necessity. Alternative supplies, they protect your home, your business, your comfort from power cuts while often saving you money in the long run. Now, let's start off with our list of alternative power supplies, forms of power supply. The first one is solar. Now, solar is Nigeria's fastest growing choice at the moment. So for this one, you're actually going to need three components. You need your solar panel, a charge controller, and an inverter, as well as batteries. Right. So right now, I'm going to give you the standard prices that you can find for panels, depending obviously on their electrical charge, I'd say. So first off, you can get solar panels for 100 watts poly mono panel, and this one is going for 25,000 to 40,000 naira. Then you can get 200 watts panels for 45,000 to 70,000 naira, and then you can get 300 watt panels for 65,000 to 100,000 naira as well. You can also find 500 watts. This is the largest one I've seen so far, for 120,000 naira to 180,000 naira. Now, remember I did say that when it comes to solar systems, this one, you need three components. So now I'm going to explain to you, for a typical 1 kilowatt powered home system, you're going to need around five 200 watt panels. So you can expect to pay roughly around 250,000 naira to 350,000 naira for the panels alone. Yes, this is just for the panels alone. Our next alternative power supply. Now, I did mention inverters and batteries, but one thing we must know is that inverters and batteries can work in tandem with solar panels, but they can also function entirely on their own. So let's look at inverters and batteries, shall we? So first of all, what an inverter does is that it converts DC, which is direct current from the panels or batteries, into AC for your appliances to be using in the meantime. Now, another thing about batteries is that they also store power for nighttime use and later use. So think about that. Now, the typical prices that you can find for an inverter. The first one is that we've got a 1 kVA, that is a kilovolt amp pure sine inverter, and then this one is going for 35,000 naira to 60,000 naira. Then you can also find a 3 kVA inverter, and that one is going for 80,000 naira to about 120,000 naira. And then we have a 5 kVA inverter that is going for 100,000 naira to 200,000 naira. Now, for batteries, you can find 100 amps per hour deep cycle battery going for 50,000 naira to 80,000 naira. And then you can find 150 amps hour battery going for 60,000 naira to 100,000 naira. And then you can get a 200 amps hour battery going for 100,000 naira to 150,000 naira. Now, I'm going to need you to take note of these prices because, like I said, if you're going for a solar panel, a solar powered system, you would need to also include a battery. That's if you want to keep it exclusively solar, but if you want to maybe have a hybrid, you can also consider the prices I'm listing here for inverters. Now, we'll be moving on to our next available alternative power supply. An oldie but a goodie. It has been around in Nigeria for as long as I can remember, since I was born. I don't think I ever went by anyone's house without seeing a generator. Yes. So our next entry is generators, and the same reasons that I mentioned just now are why the generator will always remain a backup in every Nigerian household. So With generators, you have the option of petrol generator, diesel generator, and a new one that is news to me is an inverter generator. Let's see. So your typical 1 kVA petrol generator can go for 70,000 naira to 120,000 naira. And then you have a 3 kVA inverter generator type going for 150,000 naira to 250,000 naira. And then you have 5 kVA diesel generators going for 200,000 naira to 350,000 naira. And then we have a 10 kVA standby diesel generator going for 400,000 naira to 600,000 naira. Now, this standby generator is those large, massive ones I usually see in companies or maybe even in some people's homes, especially large houses that tend to be 6 bedrooms or 5 bedrooms and above. You can find this type of generator there. Anyway, one thing about generators that I found out is that the diesel types in particular, they run longer per tank, but their upfront costs are higher. So they're expensive to get and maintain, but they actually are fuel efficient compared to the petrol types. But anyway, on the side of the inverter generators, these ones are very quiet. They are more quiet and they are actually more fuel efficient than the diesel as well. So, but unfortunately, they can only carry light loads. That is the inverter generator. So these are just extra information for you to decide next time you want to venture into the generator markets. Now, the final and last contender on our list of alternate power supply systems, and that would be wind energy and hybrid kits. Now, I know wind energy is not commonly heard of in Nigeria, in fact, but there are other African countries that are using wind energy, and I'm just thinking that maybe Nigerians should start looking in this direction. At least the coastal regions of Nigeria should be looking into this, because that is where you're going to have the highest flow of wind coming into our country. But nonetheless, it's used everywhere else. France invested heavily in wind energy, and so did Switzerland and so many other countries in Africa, Senegal being one of them, one of the few ones, but that's something for our leaders to decide. The only thing is we need to say Nigeria when when we join the others. But anyway, now with wind energy, they usually are transformed. The energy is gotten or transformed from what we call turbines. So a small wind turbine of 1 kilowatt can actually cost you somewhere between 200,000 naira to 400,000 naira. Now, I also did mention hybrid. When I say hybrid, there is one that's going around where it's a hybrid solar and wind kit. What this does is that it combines the two elements for a year-round power at around, you can find this going for around 700,000 naira to 1,200,000 naira. Obviously, the price is depending on the size. But what this does is that you have the wind taking in energy as well as the solar panels working in tandem. And if you really, really want, I think with these two, you can even throw in a battery for nighttime. If you combine all three, that's off the grid life guaranteed. But anyway, there we have it for our list and types of possible alternative power solutions. I'll leave that for you to decide. Now, I can't just give you a list of options and then not give you guides as to how to figure out which one you want exactly. So that's what I'm going to do now. So here's how to decide. Number one, you need to calculate your load. So when I say calculate your load, you need to start taking notice of the electricity that you actually consume in your house or your devices consume in your house, and how many devices you actually want to be connected daily. So you're going to actually calculate your daily watt hours. You can do this yourself, or you can ask anybody around you that maybe dabbled in physics, or even a mere electrician. Anyone could really sit down and do this one. So number two is the duration. So you need to consider, do you need something that's just going to give you a few hours of electricity for when our grid decides to fail us every now and then? Or do you actually need something that is going to fully make you independent and off of the Nigerian electrical grid? Which, if you ask me, that should be a better option, because as you know, our grid is not trustworthy. It hasn't shown any signs of stability, and I don't think it's coming anytime soon. But anyway, number 3 that you want to consider is budget versus reliability. Now, in this one, generators are cheaper to buy, but they are costly to run. When I say they are costly to run, you have to think of fuel cost, calling a generator service repairman every time, changing the oil, and different mini parts in a generator that frequently go bad. Those are things that make it expensive to keep. And then on the other hand, you have things like solar and you have things like solar and batteries, which cost more when you are buying them upfront. But consider this, they are fuel free. And in a country like Nigeria, where we have fuel scarcity and fuel and inflation going haywire on our fuel prices, you might want to consider solar. So expensive first off, but cheaper in the long run. It's up to you. Now, the 4th one is installation and maintenance. Yes. So like I was saying, maintenance is going to take us or link back to guide number 3. So pay attention. Now, with this one, you can usually spend 50,000 naira to 150,000 naira for a professional solar system installation. And also you can spend this much for generator service costs. Like I said, repair cost, oil, monthly checkups on your generator, all of that. You're going to be spending this amount of money. But think about it, this amount of money to just install a solar system, and then you won't need to spend as much ever again later on, because solar panels they rarely need checkups, just maybe like 3 times a year, and you should be fine. And that is whenever the season changes drastically. But with generators, it's like every week you have a new problem, depending on how frequently you use your generator. That's what I'm saying. So there you have it. I have just given you a little breakdown of thoughts to consider when you are shopping next time. Now, as we have neared the end of our video, there you have it. I have given you a guide to alternative power supplies. So hit that like button if you found this helpful. Subscribe for more tips like these, and let me know, what type of system are you considering on getting next, or are you planning for next? Let me know in the comment sections. In case some of you might let me know that you've gotten a solar system before, or you currently have a solar system but you're feeling like you need a little bit more, or some of you are like, you're on the generator side and you're a little bit tired of this whole new regime that we're under and the fuel prices are driving you insane. Let me know in the comments. Let's gist about it. Bye. See you next time.